Ready, set,
go!
Hey all, this is Paul from Drums and Rums with the Backbeats Meets the Spirits, and if you are a fan of the Riffs and Rhythms show, where I'm sitting it probably looks very familiar to, but yes, I'm at the studio here where we tape the Riffs and Rhythms show, and then sometimes we also do the Drums and Rums podcast also here as well in my practice space, but I'm here hanging out here with a great cool guest. We've got an upcoming event here in West Palm locally, so we're going to talk a lot of it. So this is, again, we said, what is this episode going to be? Is it going to be drums, or is it going to be rums, or somewhere in between, as I always say? This is definitely, I think, going to be definitely a full-on, hardcore press drum episode. So I'm really excited to talk to my guest, and let's get right to it. I've got on the podcast here today, Todd, the creator of Drum Revue. How you doing, Todd?
I'm doing good, Paul. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's a great Saturday. Well, I guess I'm not supposed to say what day it is, evergreen content, things like that. But, I'm doing great today. The sun is shining, and I'm above ground.
Beautiful day in South Florida.
Yes. So before I guess we get started here, because I know everyone does their pre-show questionnaire, and then I'm not going to hold it against you, right? I know you may not be a rum guy, but you did bring something that's because you're more of a whiskey, bourbon, scotch kind of guy, right?
Usually, yeah. Mostly a whiskey guy, but this great bourbon, Angel's Envy. I thought you might enjoy it.
Yeah,
so I wanted to give you a little gift of that.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. I always like so. All right. So, tip for all the guests coming up here: this is the way to do it. Okay.
So I just want to get in your good graces.
Yeah, there we go. So let's go ahead and open this up, and I'll tell you,
it's well packaged.
They definitely do make this child tamper-proof here. So, all right. Wow. See, right now, if we were doing the Riffs and Rhythms episode, Kevin would be screaming at me about why it's taking so long to open up a bottle of whiskey. All right, here we go. So let's get this pop. Oh, nice. All right, here we go, sir. All right, so what's a great episode to talk about music and a little bit of drink here. So, but with our hosting guest here. Cheers.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Cheers.
Ooh, that's pretty tasty.
You like that?
Yeah, I like there was obviously all the rum that I taste and try. You'd always say it's a second taste that you get more of really what it's like, right? First one is always you're getting hit with a lot of maybe burn or something or the smells. Second one, so this has definitely got a good mouthfeel on it. So as you know, I do drink, other things besides rum, just so don't get freaked out, right? But I said again, this is a drum episode here too. So we're going to go full on drum and we're going to drink whiskey on this one here. So yeah, this is really cool. So again, we had connected a little bit, the power of social media, gone back and forth. I know we're going to talk a little bit we're going to talk a lot about Drum Revue, right? What that is and everything about it. And, we were sharing some things, so it is really cool, the power of the internet. Thank you. I know you mentioned that you listen and watch the episode, so thank you for being a fan of the Drums and Rums show. And so coming up here, I think before we get into, the Drum Revue we'll get to is, so let's talk a little bit about you, right? Obviously you're a drummer if you're putting on an event called Drum Revue.
Yes. Yeah. I grew up drumming like most drummers, banging on pots and pans, and eventually my mother got so tired of it. She signed me up for some lessons, joined the band, and started on the snare drum, learning my rudiments, and then graduated into playing with bands and jazz and everything else under the sun.
Okay.
So got my first kit in sixth grade, I think it was.
Yeah, that seems about right.
About the cadence most people have.
Yeah, you go from the pots and pans, and then about when you start elementary school-ish time frame, you start playing the different things there.
Exactly.
So, if I jump ahead through, I'm sure, like you said, you've taken lessons all through from sixth grade all the way through high school and college as well too. So let's stop at like maybe high school there is in middle school. So what type of drumming were you doing in school?
Well, I didn't do lessons for a long time. I really stopped lessons in like 7th, 8th grade-ish time, and then I really didn't play the kit again until college. So
Oh, wow.
all through high school, it was all concert band. It was all, in the orchestra, and I was playing timpani. I was doing, more percussive instruments. But marching band was a big part of my high school life. So,
Okay.
I was one of those band geeks in high school and played in the marching band, and that was when I fell in love with drum lines. And through that, we also had a steel drum band. We had Latin music. I really got a pretty good education in different genres of percussive music, and that's where I learned about Mickey Hart and playing a drum and all those great drummers that were doing things other than just playing rock drums, and,
Right.
and that's where I started to really fall in love with percussion music and drums, and that's really what kind of led me to get back into drum kits once I could bring more style and flair to it. So it's kind of a big musical journey of not just drum kit, but a lot of percussion instruments as well.
So during that time in elementary, high school, before you got to college, then, and since it was very much drumline focused, orchestra focused, I'm going to guess here, it didn't sound like it was your atypical high school kid drummer or who plays percussion who's playing in a local little garage band, is it?
I didn't start playing like with a garage band type of thing until college. Yeah,
Okay.
It was mostly marching band and then concert season. But I was playing a lot of sports, and I had a pretty, thanks to my mother, had a pretty well-rounded background in appreciation of the arts and
Right.
classical music and everything else under the sun. So it was really drum set playing didn't really become a huge part of my life until college time. So
Interesting. Okay, yeah, that's that. Yeah, most of it is like everyone wants to go running right towards to the drum kit, and then that's what they want to do, and they. I'm guilty of exactly what I'm saying, because again, having maybe the outside influence or exposure to things that would be the musical aspect of non-rock, right?
Yeah.
I talked a lot on the podcast about I'm not a country music guy. It's not that it just, I guess maybe because I've just been grown up so much on rock,
Right.
and the exposure growing up with my parents, what the music they listen to or who you're around, and living in New Jersey, there isn't a whole lot of country music,
Not much
on the radio that comes out of New York or New Jersey, and other than in the '80s and so forth, but. So going from there then into college, where'd you go to school? College? Did you go for percussion?
No, I was an English major in for my undergraduate.
So you're
yeah,
you're totally different path here on
a little different path. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, let me backtrack a little bit. Just make no mistake, I did have my phase of just banging on the drums as loud as I could, and I used to have I'd have a friend over and I'd be playing with Paradise City or whatever song out there in the late '80s, and have him run down the street and see how far away he could still hear me playing the drums, and it was that, I think part of that got me in trouble a lot for banging too hard, and so I had to develop a little bit more well-rounded percussive background. So that's where I kind of took a back seat from drum set playing, and then I got into some other stuff. But when I got into college and I went to school up in Chicago, and I'm from Chicago originally. And I actually joined. I was playing with a worship team in the band there, and that was really what kind of got me back into kit playing.
Okay.
And then through there, a friend of mine was a punk rock guy and loved punk music and was playing in punk bands and stuff. And he wanted to start a punk band, and he asked me to play. And I had never listened to punk music. And it was hilarious because
Play fast, bang hard.
just play fast, bang hard, and so all of a sudden I said, yeah, sure, I'll play in your punk band, and next thing you know, I'm playing punk music, and I loved it. I had a ball with it, and I learned a lot, and started listening to punk music, and I really appreciate and love punk music even to this day now. But prior to that, I didn't have any punk background, but it was so fun to just bring a lot of different styles. I have a lot of different styles that kind of got into my punk playing too, which was a lot of fun. So
I'm sure we're going to find out here in the conversation that very similarly that you're just a fan of music,
very much so.
right? Good music or a good beat, right? And again,
Absolutely.
I definitely need to get you to come on here as a what do they call that when you got a a ringer guest, for Kevin, to kind of get you on the couch here and we talk about riffs and rhythms. What's better, the riff or the rhythm? But and we did coin a term here. We definitely need to trademark this damn thing because one of our guests coined the term. Lefty Hathaway, local musician. Rhythm. It's when they both are just right in the same. It's not one, it's the other. It's the perfect blend of the two.
Living in the pocket.
That's
love
right.
it.
Yeah.
That's
So
fantastic.
you mentioned that you grew up in the Northeast.
In Chicago. I grew
Okay,
up,
Chicago.
so
Okay,
Midwest guys.
Okay, and then okay, so yeah, a lot of drummers I speak to or talk to on the podcast, the pinnacle of a lot of schools, whether they're going to University of North Texas, right? A great drum school.
Very good.
And I think though is when you were so in college though, where was drumming and percussion at that point if you weren't going for school for music?
Drumming and percussion was an extracurricular for me. So playing in the worship band in the school. I went to a Christian school and that was a big part of me getting back into drum kit playing, and then the punk stuff, that was all in addition to. I wasn't pursuing music as a profession at that time.
Right.
Maybe if hindsight is always 20/20. Maybe if I had lined up things differently, I would have been in music full time from the start, and Drum Revue wouldn't be an additional project for me. But at this point, it is an additional project because I started pursuing other paths and stuff. But it's always been a part of my life.
Okay.
And
Right.
always continues to be and always will be for everything that I do. And just my kids, and I've got a lot of kids, and most of them are, at least if they're not in music and pursuing music, they're very passionate about music and enjoy music as well. So
very
it's
cool.
good.
Very cool. So to go through college and then as you said, it's always been there, but up until let's just kind of put like this line in the sand. There's Drum Revue, right? From college now to Drum Revue. Are you still in the music involvement to some? You said it's to some level, right?
Always have been. I've done some singer-songwriter stuff.
Okay.
I have a stage name, T.D. William, and I put out an EP a few years ago with that, just because there's always been a music bug in me that I've never been able to, completely quiet down. And so wrote a bunch of songs. My wife helped co-wrote some songs as well. I did a lot of the music. I mean, I wrote all the music, but then I hired a couple of musicians to help me out in the studio.
Okay.
But I played most of it. We were living in Massachusetts at the time and dealing with a lot of blizzards, and started writing songs about moving to the South and moving to Florida. And next thing you know, we put out an album for that. So things like that have always been part of what I do and part of what I've done some gigs and things like that. Not a lot,
right.
Not anything that I could consider full time or even more than a hobby until Drum Revue.
Okay.
Now it's coming.
Okay.
Getting a little bigger now. So
Moving to Florida from escaping the cold. Wow, have we had not heard that before?
it's a recurring theme, I think, on this show.
Hey, well, welcome to the sunshine state,
it.
right? And today it's definitely is sunshine. I know this week it's been kind of a really weird weather here, but typical Florida weather in the summer.
It's kind of cool out, actually. It's not too
it's
bad.
like a little kind of cool. I was just gonna go through. I mean, again, like I've said, we've talked before the show, and I've talked before. Is like I'm also originally a transplant, but from the back in the '90s when I moved to Florida, and I almost can't go back. And I don't know if it's not because of the cold. It's just different. You know what I mean?
Yep. It's a different way of life.
It just looks brighter and cleaner in Florida than the Northeast.
That's why anybody that moves down, they're always smiling a little bit more.
That's like you go down to the Keys, and they call it the Keys disease because nobody wants to leave once you go to the Keys for a week. They're like nobody wants to go home, right? Or they end up staying, right? So, yeah, okay. So, how did this? You said you got some music that you just put out. We're working on with your wife, and then how did this idea of Drum Revue come about?
Drum Revue came about as a lot of ideas. I mean, we talked about it before the show. Just some things that came out when you just have to have a creative outlet during things like COVID. And I was reading a book about the history of the drum set, and that's the kind of stuff I like to read, which is tells you a lot. But this book was just kind of inspiring for me to just dive in a little deeper of the music of drums, and not just the history of it, but including, from going from trap drumming and into, stage performance, and then jazz and blues and everything else under the sun. With when I was starting to jot notes down of what would I like to see as a drummer, what would I like to see on stage, and I just started kind of scheming out scenes for what would eventually become Drum Revue, and over a couple of years, just jotting down notes and saying what would, how could I fit in a drum line here, how could I put in a Latin number here, and eventually, I've seen things like Blue Man Group and Stomp, and those are great, and I love those performances, but I had never seen something which would just start to finish, drums, percussion, with some melody, with, basically a giant drum variety show, and that's the way I like to describe Drum Revue. It's a nonstop, high-energy drum variety show, drum and percussion variety show. So it got to a point about 18 months ago where the ideas were coming out pretty frequently, and the notes had come together in some semblance of a show, to the point where I said, I think I wouldn't be the only one that would enjoy seeing this. I think other people would like this as well. So that was when I really started putting, I brought this with me. This is the master score. That's when I started.
Okay.
I started putting this together,
okay,
and actually putting the music to it, because it's not just banging on drums. There's melody to it. There's mallet players. There's every, conceivably almost every genre of percussion and drumming music. Not everything, but eventually it'll touch on everything. So
okay,
it's been a lot of fun. Where really the last 18 months is where it was truly beyond notes, and then in pen to paper and scoring it out, and then then the challenge is getting it off the ground and actually getting on stage.
Okay, all right. So no, I'm really looking forward to checking out the show here. So September 7th.
September 7th is the next performance.
Okay.
Our debut was in February. Our first show was in February, and then we had another show in May.
Okay.
All of them have been at Kravis Center so far. So they've been great to work with. They have a black box theater called the Rinker Playhouse, which is a 300-seat small theater. It's kind of a perfect size stage for what we're doing right now. Conceivably, as the show grows, there's going to be a lot more stage movement, a lot more everything going into it. So, but right now, where it is, it's Kravis has been a wonderful partner to work with. And they've been very welcoming for us and great to work with.
So yeah, the Kravis Center is a phenomenal venue for, like we were talking before, like Broadway shows, traveling Broadway shows, or even I think music shows and that come through that had if a different element. The sound is amazing.
Yeah,
this is the premiere. We've got the amphitheater, and we've got a couple clubs, we've got a couple places, but the Kravis Center is so right there in downtown West Palm Beach. So you're talking about sort of different kind of without giving away too much.
Sure.
So I guess is the review a journey, or kind of how did you come up with some of those, like, we're gonna do this, and then after that we're gonna do that, and then we'll do this, and
the flow of the show is something that's always evolving. So first show is very different than the second show, and the second show is going to be very different than the third show. So the flow has there is a scene. The opening scene is kind of a chronicle of the drum set and the evolution of playing the drum set. Not necessarily the drum set itself, I guess, but it's really an evolution of the playing of the drum set from different genres. From the straight 4 beats of Chick Webb and Benny and Gene Krupa and that genre of music, to then into the Clyde Stubblefield and the moving more into the jazz and funk and the different rhythms that and then ultimately getting into what my favorite is, the driving bass drum of Bonham, who's my favorite drummer, and there is a lot of that in the beginning of the show, and then we kind of move into what are some other ways that you've seen drums? Have you seen it on the street in buckets? Most people have. Have you seen some pots and pans?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen a drum line? And so you'll see a lot of snippets of that, particularly in the first act. Second act, it gets a little bit more musical. So there's more like medleys and things like that, where we bring in a lot more melody to the show as well. So
does that include other instruments that are not percussive?
So far, everything's percussive.
Okay.
So any melody we play has so far been on mallet stations, which is not to do too much plugging, but it's a Pearl instrument where the mallet station is basically an electronic xylophone type of an instrument. So everything's still played with mallets, but because it's through a MIDI player, then I can funnel electric guitar through it or anything else like that.
That's pretty cool. Okay,
so it's still all percussive. I will tease out there's going to be a first non-percussive instrument making an appearance, but it's going to be in the third show. But it's a special arrangement of something which will have a huge backbeat to it. So,
okay.
So that's only one scene though.
Okay. So it's funny. You talk about melody, right? So most wouldn't necessarily associate percussive. All right, we share our practice space or our studio here with the tow truck company, so I'm not sure what's going on. Sorry if you guys heard that.
We may be getting towed out.
Yeah, we could be. That's true. Yeah, we could be getting our cars towed just across the street. So we've illegally parked. But yeah, so where most that wouldn't consider percussive instruments as being able to provide melody, right?
Yeah. That was a challenge.
Yeah.
That was definitely something we had to work on. And the mallet station instrument helps that because I can funnel a lot through it.
So even though it's a drum review, this is something that I'm always very curious, because this is why I always question myself. If I ever was wanting to be a full-time musician, I guess I picked the wrong instrument, because if you were playing guitar, if you could sing and play guitar, you can do it, because we have a lot of soloists, guitarists that play, and they do a lot of percussive stuff to kind of provide some sort of additional sound or beat or something. But there's a lot that I see that they play some type of percussive on their guitar, whether they're smacking the body of the guitar or doing a little looping or something like that. So I don't know, maybe interesting to kind of see a little make a guitarist try to force them to be as percussive as possible to melody driven. I don't know.
I mean, James Hetfield says it well. I mean, he says he likes to play the drums on his guitar. And
I think he's probably the Lars is like probably the fourth best drummer in the band. I think supposedly.
Yeah. We don't need to go down that road. I don't want to get yelled at by Lars or anything like that.
Do you know Lars?
No.
Okay. Well, you might now. Yeah.
I don't want this to be the first.
Oh, he sued Napster, so you might. Yeah, you never know who he'll sue next. But yeah, no, that's fair. So no, it's really interesting. Again, I guess it's so for the non-drummers. Okay.
Yes.
So for those who you would want to speak to them and say, here's what you will get from it. If you were non-musician, non-drummer, what you're going to get out of this.
If you like any kind of music, if you like any kind of live music especially, and if you like to see incredible masters of their skill perform, this is a place to go. Okay. Yeah, a friend of mine came, not a musician, came to the first show, and he said, I was feeling it in my chest for hours afterwards, because it's
driving.
It's driving.
Yeah.
It's loud. It's a loud show, and that's intentionally so. So,
okay.
But you kind of leads me to a really important point. Going back to where this came from, and one of the things how it even came to be, and how it's coming into this form is two really important things. As I put the show together, was one, I wanted it to always be live music, because there are some incredible drummers that are part of this, and I am by far the worst drummer in the group, which is by design, because I say kids, they're not all kids, but they can play, and they play so well, and so it was really important for me to design the show to be live and to be a live percussive show. Now, yes, it's designed for the theater. It can probably translate to rock venues and other concert halls and things like that, but to actually let these incredible performers just show off is a big part of the reason why I created the show in the first place. And another reason is because drummers are always in the background. I mean, you're a drummer. We're always
behind somebody.
We're always behind somebody. We're behind the plexiglass. We're in the back of the orchestra. We're in the back of the band, except for maybe occasional feature here and there. But I wanted this to be a way for drummers to showcase. So drummers are going to love the show because it's just drummers showing off and being incredible drummers. Non-drummers are going to love the show because they're going to get to see something that they may not see on stage as prominently as they usually would. Usually they're going to see a guitarist playing live, or a singer, or the drummer maybe on a pedestal. Maybe they may get some features, but this is all drummers, all percussionists, all featured all the time. So it's a lot of fun. It's a fun show. Everybody that has come has really enjoyed it. It's been good feedback I've gotten so far.
Very cool. So yeah, so the binder there is, so that's all of you said the arrangements and so
Yep, a lot in there.
yeah. So solo, did you work on this? So this is all everything, all the arrangements yourself, or did you like have some other folks kind of working with you?
Well, there are a lot of improv scenes
Okay.
in the show too. So anything that needed to have score, just put it together. But the there are there's a lot of variation and a lot of room for drummers to embellish and to have some fun with it. So there's not to give too much away, but as you can imagine in a drum show, there's a drum battle. So
Okay. All right.
and so I don't score out the drum battle. That would be restrictive to
Right.
my
Have at
fellow
it.
drummers that are going. But we do create some cadence to it and moving from here to there throughout the drum, because it's 9-10 minute drum battle, so you got to have some level of structure to it, and then I'm not in the drum battle intentionally because I would just be embarrassed. But these guys that are just going at it, it's incredible to see them work. But I didn't score that scene out, for instance. But anything that has melody, anything that we're playing drumline stuff, cadences, things like that, that's all part of the score.
Okay. No, that's pretty really cool. Is there like any type of like the crowd cheers for one or the other, or who won? Right?
There's
still a little bit of that.
A little bit of that. A little bit of that. Yeah, it's you'll see some of that one.
Okay.
It'll be it's fun to see, and they're just incredible. They're
Right.
incredible players.
So all right. So September 7th. Do you have a date for like the next one after that, or are you still kind of working on that?
Working on that. The idea, we've been pretty concentrated in West Palm right now, and that's been great, but we want to spread out a little bit too. So a lot of my musicians are down in Miami, and so we're going to try to do some shows down there, and then spread out regionally, and hopefully from that point then branch out super regionally, the Southeast, and then go beyond there whenever we can.
Yeah, I love the idea. I think a lot of the guests that we've had on over the last 4+5 years, who are around the country, probably again, we could talk offline. That reach out to them, or if wherever they're at across the country to I think there's quite a few of the past guests who would be totally down for something like this.
Awesome.
Whether it was up in New Jersey, Juan Carlito Mendoza, he also does some performances playing in Broadway now. He does fills in some gigs. Definitely, some of the guests, Adam Tevlin, he's got a lot of history. He's put together some of his content about a lot of history as well. The drums.
Yep.
Definitely got to check out Kaylee Ray Tubbs. She's like a drum historian, also like refurbishing old equipment too. So they got a lot of great guests. We can probably connect up with, and if you start, if you get going on the road, that'd be kind of a really cool thing. And two is so through kind of getting the word out here locally in the Palm Beach area, South Florida area. So how you kind of getting the word out there? Like what can we do to help? How the listeners, viewers, how can we kind of get the word out there?
Yeah, I mean we've got all the social media. There's a YouTube channel at Drum Revue, and it's Revue spelled Revue, like the variety show. So YouTube, Instagram, there's a TikTok channel. Everything's on there. There's Facebook, and then just word of mouth has been a big effective avenue that we've had as well. People that have come to the first or the second show are telling people about the third show. And,
Perfect.
But every avenue that we've tried to be in, or every avenue we need to be in, I think we're in. So
Yeah.
I hope so.
Okay.
And really, really appreciate you coming, having me on here to talk about it.
Yeah, no, this is great. I'm just thinking about a couple other places, like some of the other, whether it's venues or like a music schools that are in the area to kind of I'll after the show make a text message here to one of the places in Palm Beach Gardens to at least hang the flyer, right?
Yeah, we've been hanging these around, so if you'll see those here and there. Also, because there's a lot of student musicians in it, we'll go out to all the high schools and all the schools that have a music program, and even those that don't, let all the teachers know, let them know that the show's coming out.
Okay. So how much are tickets?
The list price is $35.
Okay.
But for all your listeners, there's a coupon code or a discount code.
Look at that! There you go.
Revue 25. So REVUE and the number 25. That'll give you a discount ticket price.
There you go, guys. Right, hooking you up. Right. So we'll put the link in here, or click here. We'll add to that later, but yeah. So
And it's all at kravis.org is with the box
okay,
office.
all right, perfect. Okay, so yeah, this is really cool. Looking forward to this. And again, I like we talked before. Before we started, we first connected was when you talked about whether it was Stomp or Blue Man Group, something. It kind of gives something there, but it's more focused on the drums part. I mean, just the live performance aspect. You can't beat, come on, folks. You can't beat live music, live performance. Like you said, your friend was like, you feel it, right? And they kind of get you moving and get you excited, and something about clapping or playing with it or the kind of music is just awesome. So
there's a lot of audience participation in the show too.
Okay, all right.
People will, there's chances for people to come up on stage and play with us. There's a lot of rhythmic. We're going to test the audience's rhythm capabilities.
All right, please let me know in advance so I don't start drinking early, because we're like, this guy can't keep time for shit. Well, I've already had like 3 beers.
That's all right. There's enough people. You'll be hidden in the crowd.
All right, good. I know, at least I think even when I've been drinking, I know I don't clap on the one, the 3 and
thank goodness.
Yeah,
Thank
the 1 and the 3.
Every drummer's nightmare.
It's like, okay, who's off here?
I have had to stop the crowd before for their.
Oh no shit!
So, it does happen. It's every drummer's nightmare is the 1 and 3 clapping. But,
all right, you guys are all off. You got no rhythm. That's why you need to come to the next show also to improve. Right. So too funny. So yeah, no, this is really great, Todd. That again, starting here, and then you get the idea and the growth to take it further. I think this is a great community here. There's a lot of some of those aspects here.
Yeah. And the community is a big part of why we've been so focused on West Palm. It's a really collaborative area for the arts, and it's really supportive of the arts, and live performance is a big part. Kravis is a big part of that, of course, but the live music scene, everything in South Florida has been fantastic. And one of the big keys of the show is we truly believe that music can change lives and impact people for the better, and especially the drums, of course. So we try to, around every show or in between shows, we try to do community performances where we'll go to, for instance, in February we went to L's for Autism and perform for people there. We're going down to Joe DiMaggio's Children's Hospital and perform for kids in the hospital right now. And those are ways that we're trying to get back and just continue to brighten people's lives with drums. Okay. And so the community's been really supportive, and the idea is every city or town we go to play in, we'll also connect in with a local avenue for us to give back and to be part of that community.
Tie it in there. So would love maybe the next one coming up is we've had a guest on Manis Itane from Michael Fronte, band Spearhead. So we've stayed in contact with, and he wants to come back here, do something.
Nice.
So so a lot of I think again we got a lot of great opportunities to kind of cross and share and just spread the love about drums. I mean, who doesn't?
Absolutely.
That's right. That's why they say drummers do it with rhythm. Yeah, I know that's such an old bump.
Very true. There we go.
So all right, so we've gone through here. So. Before we wrap up here, you've seen the show, right? You've watched and listened to the podcast, right?
Yeah, subscriber and listener, yes.
Well, not there yet. So, okay.
I subscribe to the podcast.
Yeah. Okay, you subscribe. Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah, that's fine.
When you have a paid feature, I'll do that too.
So there's a segment on the show where, everyone fills out the questionnaire, you go through so I can get a little information so I don't have to stalk you all over the internet and Facebook and so forth. But the one thing I don't ask in advance of that questionnaire is a segment that we call for drummers is in 4 beats or less. Okay. So we ready for this?
I'll try.
All right. So here we go. So first question is, it's a straight one out of the chute. Everyone gets it here. So in 4 beats or less, who's on your Mount Rushmore of drummers?
Bonham, Parrott, Mitch Mitchell, and Buddy Rich.
Okay, there you go. See, it's a hard one to get put on the spot, right?
It was on the spot. I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared.
So if in 4 beats or less, if you weren't in, if drums were never invented, what would be the other instrument?
Guitar.
Okay.
For me.
Okay.
You talking about for me, right?
Yeah, for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I do play some guitar too. So.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm a drummer. I play the guitar as the drummer.
And right there you go.
Yes.
There you go. So, like I said, we'll talk a little bit more again. I want to make sure we bring up about the music that you have, as you mentioned. So, all right. So, in 4 beats or less, question number 3. If you weren't in, which musician or artist would be on your list to be part of Drum Revue? Like if you had the magic phone that says I can call anybody right now and say,
be alive.
let's see where you want to go. Right? I know who you may say. I'm assuming you're going to say Bonham, right? I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, if we're going full spectrum though with that.
Well, give me alive and dead. How about that? Give me one of each.
Honestly, one of your previous guests, Tito Puente Jr., would be an amazing addition because we have a big Latin number that we're inserting. We didn't have a Latin number in the second performance, but we're putting that in, and he'd be an amazing addition.
Okay.
So,
do you want me to send him a text to see if
let him know? Let him know.
He can make it up. Maybe not perform because that might be too soon. But maybe
let
him know about this. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So we got Tito Puente Jr. All right. And who's not alive?
I mean,
I think we just said it. Right?
Bonham would be great. I love Clyde Stubblefield would be an amazing addition. James Brown and the funky drummer, but. There is a big jazz solo that actually, this is not more than 4 beats, but Frank Derrick is one of the drummers that's been in, and Frank is a local drummer, big jazz legend, toured with Cab Calloway, just an amazing drummer, and he just brings it. He brings like a Buddy Rich-esque kind of drum solo.
Okay.
So if having him and Buddy Rich do a drum battle would be pretty cool.
Okay, there we go. Break out the Ouija boards.
There we go.
All right, last question here. Question number 4. In 4 beats or less. Shit, I just drawn a blank. Sorry. I just had it there. We were talking about that. So I maybe need to come think about it here. So I'll come back to it here in a second here. So, but yeah. Well, I'll let you off the hook. How about that? Okay, since I my brain farting here already, so it must be the whiskey talking here. So we'll blame it on the booze here. So, but yeah, I think this is really cool. I really dig this. I think, like I said again, there's a lot of great community aspect of it, and like I said, there's a local tie-in with some of the schools, some of the local musicians here that people don't even realize are living in our community here, right? That are phenomenal. It's at a great venue, right? So you're definitely not going to be disappointed. It's a performance, and you get a discount. You get a discount code on the tickets, for using the tickets here code. So which is great. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be coming out there. So it's a September 7th. It's a Saturday, right?
Saturday night. Yep, 7:00 show.
Perfect, right? So you're still early enough. You can get to bed early if you need to. You probably you need your ears might be a little pounding.
Well, we do give out free earplugs.
Okay,
so,
all right, okay.
And anybody that is worried about the sound, there's no excuse for that.
There you go.
And it is a very, very family-friendly show. So kids love it, and they just, the kids are some of the most having the most fun in the audience often. So
very cool.
It's a great time.
Very cool. So definitely, check it out there. So it's at drumrevue.com there. We'll put it in the links there. It's all on the social, same name. But you can go to thekravitcenter.org to get your tickets there. So we'll put all the links in the description here. So definitely go check it out. Don't forget to use the code, or not, or hey, if you want to, whatever, it's up to you, right? If you want to use it or not. But yeah, very, very cool. So, again, so what is, let's do a quick thing. You just mentioned about your music also too. I just want to kind of, give a little shout out to your solo project too.
Oh, sure.
He's a musician. Come on, folks, support, right?
Appreciate it. Yeah. So my stage name's TD William, put out an EP, I don't know, almost 10 years ago now, but just called Underwater, just kind of trop rock type of easy stuff. I play most of the instruments. I did bring in a lead guitarist and a bass player and then a mandolinist for one of the members as well. So, yeah, check it out. That's at tdwilliam.com and Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff too. So, but yeah, I do play the drums on it. I'm the drummer, percussionist, and guitarist as well.
He does it all.
A little bit of everything. But just fun. Just some fun stuff that got to the point where I really, my wife and I were just sitting through blizzards and said, let's go in the studio. I'll record it. Why not? Let's do it.
So and I'm just thinking though is coming back to Todd, I just totally forgot do you have any I'm sure it shouldn't you wouldn't turn it down, but if you don't, but do you have any like corporate sponsors? Is anybody like a Pearl or any kind of stick companies? Are they invested or involved?
Not yet.
Okay.
No. I do need to give a shout out to George's Music. They do have an office here. Tim at George's Music.
Yeah, right down the street.
Exactly. Tim and then George himself. Tim's been amazing to work with, and he's helped me get a lot of the instruments that are in the show, because as you can imagine, an undertaking like this, having a drum line, having drum kits, multiple drum kits on stage at once, mallets, everything, that was a big endeavor. And so George's Music has been fantastic. But I have Drum Revue stickers that are covering up some of the other labels because they're not giving me the drums yet.
I know, right? Yeah, no free advertising.
If any of those drum companies want me to do some more plugs, I'm happy to.
Yeah, sure. Again, maybe we'll do the introduction with Scorpion Percussion. They've been on the show, and they have actually a couple local artists here that are are endorsed by them. So, but yeah, it's great to kind of connect this community together and introduce everybody and kind of help. Again, it's everything that I've always been about, is whether it's on this show or the Riff and Rhythm show, or even our new show that's on the audio channel podcast. Jams and Cocktails, Brad and his show, it's all about brands helping each other grow together. That's what it's all about. We're not competing. We're all just helping each other out, right?
I appreciate that.
Yep. So
really appreciate it.
Yep. So, all right. So, again, socials is basically everything at Drum, REVUE. Okay, I'm trying to read it upside down on the table there. So just make sure I don't screw it up there. So
everything at Drum Revue, and then everything through www.drumrevue.com. That's perfect. You get there too. So.
Cool. So and then I know
this is for you. Yes, this you get some Drum Revue swag. So
awesome.
You got your own Drum Revue T-shirt now, and represent it well.
Excellent. So, people can get the shirt on the website too.
Not yet. They can get it at the show.
Okay, there you go. You got to come to the show to get this. Okay. I usually like to share some stuff that folks that come on, I guess, because it's not that I'm not appreciative of. I will definitely. I'm not giving this away. I try to, at least to me, is help. If it's my opinion. Some may disagree with it. Is if like a rum brand comes on and they give some swag, I always end up giving it away to somebody else.
Sure.
Because to me, I'm like, I know the brand already. How do I help other people learn about a brand? And usually I get a lot of hats, and then I end up giving my hats away, from different companies and so forth. But okay, I didn't remember number 4.
Okay.
You want to ready? Sorry.
I'm ready.
See,
I'm ready.
Sometimes this is what happens when a squirrel happens, especially when you hand a drum kit, you got to be paying attention and stop looking around at everything else, because you really do. You don't disagree. Being a drummer, you do, even though you have to stare at some dude's ass or whatever in front of a guitar player or whatever, you do have the best seat in the house.
Absolutely.
Because you see everything.
It's like the catcher in baseball.
Yeah,
you
right.
See the whole game.
Right. So, all right. So now that I remember what I was going to ask you there, I just better spit it out before I forget again. In 4 beats or less, question number 4. What's your favorite drum-related movie?
Drummer's Dream, which is it's a documentary, but that is about the music camp up in Canada, remote Canada. It's on. I think I saw it on Netflix. I believe.
Okay.
But, it's just an incredible documentary about just drumming.
Okay.
And Genie's on it. There's some incredible drummers that make appearances. Chambers is there. So.
I haven't heard. I have got to check that out.
Drummer's Dream. It is a documentary.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily a movie.
Got it. Okay. Since we were talking drumline, I thought you were going to go with Nick Cannon.
I love drumline. Well, I love the drumline sequences.
Part, yeah. All the other bullshit.
The rest of it I don't need to watch, but the drumline sequences are pretty amazing in drumline.
Or I'm surprised you didn't bring up. Oh my God, why is the other one there with
Whiplash?
Yes, okay. That every drummer hates because it's like somewhat of it is not necessarily, and then every guitar player who's every other musician who watches it think that's how you should treat a drummer and throwing cymbals and shit like that at him. And
yeah, drummers have the ultimate weapons in their hands.
Yeah,
so
right.
I wouldn't necessarily, treat a drummer that way, but be warned. But no, sure. Drummer's Dream is just a cool story about this drummer that's put together a dream music camp for drummers. So
very cool.
Check it out.
Cool, yeah. Do you ever see the Sound of was it Sound of not Sound of Music?
Sound of Music. I have seen Sound of Music.
It's like Sound of Drums or something. It was about a metal drummer who was going deaf.
Oh no, I haven't seen that. I did see a preview. I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about though. So
I won't want to give away too much. It's a little bit of a downer, kind of, but anyways, I don't want
every
to.
drummer's nightmare is losing their hearing.
Yeah. What?
Exactly.
Oh boy.
That's why we give away earplugs at the show.
No, that's really smart, and I guess, and it's really good for you to think about that aspect of, to help kind of, because it's going to be loud, right? It's ringing in the ears is it's something that you lose it when that's you're not getting it back. So
yeah, exactly.
definitely for sure. So this is awesome, guys. All right, so check out again. Reminder here, real quick. We're going down here. So Drum Revue, September 7th at the Kravis Center in West Palm Beach, Florida. You can get tickets at kravis.org. We'll include all the links in the description and so forth. So check it out there. You got a promo code where it says Revue 25.
Revue 25.
Perfect. Yeah. So go to the kravis.org, get tickets for the Drum Revue. Bring family. Really, Todd said. So bringing it's going to be a really cool experience. Again, just think about this. Think about like maybe when the Blue Man Group started their first show out of their garage or whatever it was. And then if you could say that I was at the very first Blue Man Group at this small little club, and then you could say that exactly the same thing. I'm not equating the same thing that is in a garage.
I hope we grow to the size of Blue Man Group.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah.
So definitely come check it out. It's going to be great here. So more shows that come up here and expand. And so I think there's a lot of creativity now that, Todd and I have got a chance to connect and, kind of share some ideas and thoughts on how to help you guys and vice versa here. Same thing, Todd, as I always say about the podcast is, one of the coolest things is guests preferring other guests to the show.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, should have this person on, or hey, I can reach out to that person. I know that person, and vice versa. So
it's awesome.
Yeah.
You're doing amazing work. I
appreciate it. So again, check out all the stuff there. So subscribe to the YouTube channel there. So Drums and Rums channel there. Again, this has been a little kind of a crazy year. I know I've been trying to get some content going, but now we have 3 shows going on the Drums and Rums channel, which we are rebranding as. So don't change your dial on your Apple, Spotify, app. It is going to be Drums and Rums podcast is going to be renamed and rebranded as B3 Podcast Network, because we now have 3 audio shows on the channel there. Each of those 3 shows do have their own YouTube channels as well, but again, we're all supporting each other. Again, we've talked about Riffs and Rhythms already. That's the other show that I do with Kevin McLaughlin, my co-host. Also, Jams and Cocktails is also a live show on Wednesday nights. They also have their audio version of their show as well. So again, we all support each other, opportunities. Maybe I can talk to Brad. Maybe if I don't know what his schedule is next week, get on the show. Maybe, I don't know. He tapes a show up in Port St. Lucie. So maybe that's something that, again, up to you guys, and we'll figure that out. So again, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're trying to get up to 500 subscribers up there. So we're getting there. Follow us on Spotify, Apple. Leave us 5-star ratings on Apple Music podcast. Leave comments. Just do all those things that we ask you to do. Again, we're trying to get some sponsorships and advertisers and things. If you want to advertise on the show, we're more than welcome to. And again, or on the whole podcast network too. So definitely, this is really cool. So I'm really looking forward to this. Again, as a drummer, as anyone who's watching this as a drummer, you should be definitely excited to go see this show. Because it's all about us.
You're gonna love it. It is drums. Every drummer's dream to just be in the spotlight the whole time.
Very cool. Very cool. So, all right. So, Todd, I think we've got everything here. And is there anything last thing to say?
No, come enjoy the show. Thanks so much for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you for the swag and the little bit of libation here there. So
absolutely,
I will never turn a drink down.
I wanted to come bearing gifts with the Drums and Rums theme in mind. I apologize, it's not rum.
Drums and whiskey. That's right. We're working on we forgot what goes with whiskey there. What instrument?
A percussive instrument?
I don't know.
There's got to be something. Maybe
we always joke about guitars and gin or something, or violins and vodka. I don't know, whatever it is. But anyway, so all right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in and watching and listening to this episode of the podcast. There again, do all the follows, support us there, and we'll hope to see you all at the show September 7th, Saturday night. It's going to be a great night. We'll see you there. I hope to see you there. So have a great day, y'all. This is Paul from the Backbeats Beats the Spirits. Cheers.